I'm happy to start the year with you about a topic that's dear to me and is around the notion of how can we get our focus going so we can achieve the most of our year. That's what focus helps also. Focus helps you coming with more daring solutions. When you have 10 possible items, you are not going to start from the most difficult. You're going to start with the quick and dirty ones that are going to give you a low hanging fruit and most probably not the biggest change in life. So by focusing, you give yourself, in fact, the chance to even envisage the more audacious solutions, the ones that are more transformational, that are more stimulating, and therefore which will bring you probably a biggest return on your efforts. Focus is sitting in the left hemisphere of any of our brains. And in the left hemisphere of our brain also sits positivity. So when you focus, you stimulate positivity. And what happens is once you stimulate positivity, it creates a virtuous circle and a spillover effect on many other aspects of our lives. And you start delivering, you start achieving, you start having results which will give you encouragement, which will give you energy, which will give you confidence to move forwards towards more maybe daring solutions or daring decisions. And you therefore start to create something which has a spillover effect, which is why I really insist with my clients, like choose one aspect, because the moment this aspect starts to move, other parts of your life will be infected in a positive sense and touched, and you will manage to move them also along the way on a midterm perspective. So it's really important that you help your brain achieve what the brain is supposed to do. So remember, focus sits in the left hemisphere of the brain. So does also positivity. So one question is, how do I know that I'm not focusing right now? How does that manifest itself? Well, again, listen to your body. If you feel a certain amount of trepidation, if you feel you're in chaos, if you feel you're overwhelmed, if you feel that you can't put your grip on anything, that you have too many juggling parts, that it's hard for you to know where you stand on various items, most likelihood is that you're being unfocused. I think when we're focused, we all have a sense of deeper alignment and kind of laser concentration, ability to concentrate, and it's not tiring. It's in fact interesting. It's in fact evolving, engaging to focus. So when you start feeling that you are all over the parts, all over the place, sorry, literally, then you probably are not that focused. So you might have noticed that it's been harder to focus lately. And there's a lot of articles around our capacity to have a certain degree of attention to things. And in fact, no, it is getting harder to focus. We've never had as much stimuli from an outside standpoint than now. So it's very hard to say, okay, I'm going to dedicate this chunk of time to focusing on something. It is hard to focus, and the first thing is to start acknowledging that, yes, indeed, it's hard to focus right now. When we manage to focus on something, that means we make choices. That means we eliminate options that are on distractions, and you can really put your resources, your personal resources, onto fewer items. So imagine that your brain has so much energy that it can dedicate to new things to think of, solutions to find. You have that much energy, a big bucket of energy, but that's what you have. Anybody around us has that amount of energy. It might vary between you and me, but we have one for each of us has one. And by focusing, you really help your brain to tap into that bucket of energy and dedicate a maximum amount of energy for a minimum amount of items. And therefore, behind each of the items that you choose to focus on, you're maximizing your chances to deliver. It's very simple. It's like spreading thin resources versus concentrating the amount of your resources onto fewer items. So one of the tools that I recommend usually to my clients that I very straightforward and simple to help locate where you are, it's called the Wheel of Life. And I made an article on that already. And the Wheel of Life is a simple tool that on a number of criteria, ranking from family, friends, love, romance, entertainment, career, and money, finances, you can really position where you will stand on the scale from 0 to 10. You're going to decide, okay, 1 or 2 areas that are really meaningful that I want to improve because that's going to really make me happy. Maybe I have another 3 or 4 topics that I want to deal with, but I would really urge you to choose 1 or 2, no more, that you're going to focus almost relentlessly for a period of time until you've moved the dial, until you really manage to shift something. And so I usually help my clients have this conversation to choice. Once you have made the assessment, then time comes to choose. And then you will choose an area, I don't know, let's say finances, for example. And then we will start finding an action plan. I mean, as simple as it sounds. What are the things that you could be doing or you would want to do to start moving things in the right direction so that your assessment on finances goes from 3 to 6? That would be my typical question. And then the client would come with, I want to do this, I could do that, I could do X, Y, Z. Okay, we list a number of actions. That's brainstorming at that stage. And then I say, okay, this seems quite easy, not easy, obvious answers. Usually the obvious answers are the one coming first. And then I say, okay, you said 3 to 6, and I'm going to challenge you. What do you do? What can you do to go from 6 to 8? Meaning, what's the stretch? Where can you think of a more daring sets of solutions that are going to be more challenging? Because my job is really to help you get there, not to start doing what you could do without me challenging you in a way. So I would help the client brainstorming to go an extra mile. What would it mean to go from 3 to 8, for example, whatever the 8 means? And what are the ideas that would be more daring, more unconventional, maybe more challenging, that you were kind of afraid to even contemplate, but that would have a bigger return on investment, if I can say that. So I really help you explore a whole range of options and solutions. We're still in the brainstorming phase. And once that brainstorming phase is, we feel that we've really explored all kinds of ideas, then I will ask you to think it through and come back with 2 or 3 different meaningful actions. Meaningful actions in the sense that you're really interested in doing them. You're really like, yes, that's what I want to do. I mean, there's juice in it, there's motivation, there's curiosity. I mean, they're going to, keep you awake at night in the good sense of the word to like get going. So you will come back with saying to me, I want to focus and do those 2 or 3 things. I really want to thank you very much for following me regularly on my LinkedIn page or on my website, www.bugliolo.net. And I encourage you to tell me if you want to share some ideas or some questions around how to assess where you can focus on your life. Be well, be happy, Happy New Year, and thank you.